Hello, it's Gareth here. I hope you are well. So today I want to talk about taking big tasks and breaking down to small bite-sized pieces. Now we have got to that time in the year, sort of back end of January, where most people's goals for 2025, the New Year's resolutions if you like, are starting to wane a bit. People are starting to feel overwhelmed. That thing they took on, which sounded manageable when they were thinking about it in their head and writing it down at the start of the year, and now has become this scary monster they can't seem to get into. And one way to get into it and to keep your goals going, your resolutions going, is just to keep small things ticking along. You don't have to do a lot in one go. People mistake that. They think, I've got to do a lot, I've got a big goal, I've got to go after it. Actually, you don't. You need to break it down into small, manageable pieces that can be done consistently. And when I'm explaining this to my clients, I will use I'll use the idea of reading a book. So I've got a book here I'm going to show you. It's a book I highly recommend you read if you're into personal development. It's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now the thing is, if I gave you that book to read and you're somebody who doesn't read books, you think, well, that's a full book. I've not read a full book. It can seem like quite a big thing to do, and think, how long is that going to take me? Well, what I would say, instead of saying I'm going to read all that book in one sitting, which is what people sometimes try to do with the goals, they sort of say, well, I'm going to get it all done today, I'm going to go after it. Just break it down. How could you break that down? What could that look like? Well, if you did 10 pages a day, so if you read 10 pages, which for most people would take about 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, but 10 pages a day of that, over the course of 30 days, you've more than covered it. There's 280 odd pages in that book. So in less than a month, you've read a book, which means if you can read that in a month, they're all about 300 pages of personal development books, you can read one a month throughout the year. So you could read 12 books just by reading 10 pages a day. There's other books, this one here by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, again, another fantastic book. You see that? Shining a bit on it. Another book you can read very, very quickly. This is even shorter, this one. This has only got, it's got less than 200 pages in it. In fact, it's got a lot less, 150 pages. So you could read that 10 pages a day in 15 days. Another book, I'll show you another one. Good book, Taking Care of Yourself. That's by me. That's my book. You can get that on Amazon. But that in there is less than 150 pages. So again, it's something you can read in 15 days at 10 pages a day. So I'm using books as an example because it's an easier way to describe it to you. But any task you've got, just break it down into small, manageable steps and do it consistently. You might not be able to sort of think about reading a book in one go, but you can read 10 pages. You might not be able to look at losing that 2 stone of weight you've got to lose, but you can lose a pound a week. You might not be able to go and think, oh, I can get into running and I'll run every day for 10 miles, but I bet you could run every day for about half a mile and then build it up. So taking your bigger tasks and breaking them down into small, manageable, bite-sized pieces is always the way to go. I have a term for this actually I use. It's called Sherpa steps. I was on a walk. I went on a guided walk up the highest mountain in the UK, Ben Nevis. And on that walk, a guide took us and she walked us up and she could see that I was struggling. It's a very hard walk. I'd not been walking very long. I was very inexperienced and I was really struggling. She said to me, you look like you're struggling. Obviously I was. And she says, all you need to do is make your steps smaller. So you're trying to get too many steps. You're trying to make too big leaps, if you like, every time you walk. And the reason I was doing that is I wanted to get to the top as quick as I could because I found it hard. She says, if you slow down and take smaller steps, you'll be able to keep going and you won't tire yourself out and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience. And she called them Sherpa steps. She says it's because that's what the Sherpas do. The guys that carry all the gear up to the Everest summit with people. The Sherpas take very tiny, slow steps. Little step, little step, little step, little step. That's how they can keep going. If you've got something big you've taken on this year, and I don't care when you're watching this video, if you're somebody who has got a big task in front of you and you feel overwhelmed by it, sometimes that can cause us to kind of have a lot of inertia and do nothing. Instead of getting that kind of overwhelmed feeling and doing nothing, just say, okay, what's the smallest step I could take today? Maybe it is, let's take it back to dieting. You want to lose some weight, but the idea of kind of really getting into some kind of hardcore diet's not for you. We say, well, could I clean up one of my meals today? Could I just eat slightly better for breakfast? Could I drop one coffee? Could I drop one Coca-Cola? Could I drop one biscuit? Start small, but then do it consistently every day. Goal achievement is nothing special, and there's no secret to it apart from keeping going. Most people that succeed, they didn't succeed because they were the best. They didn't succeed because they had some fantastic skill nobody else had got. They succeeded because they kept going. And the best way to keep going is to make sure you're taking small steps on a regular basis. I'm a great believer, if you've got something you want to go after in 2025, or whenever you're watching this, you want to be able to do something on every single day. Because if it doesn't excite you enough to do it every single day, then quite frankly, why are you doing it? So everything, whether it's working on your health, working on your mindset, working on your emotional wellness, do something every day, a small step every day that's going to move the needle, move it forward slightly. That's all you're looking for. Small steps consistently done is the way forward. So like I say, if you're not a reader, 10 pages a day and you could read 12 full personal development books a year. And I can tell you now, I don't suggest you do that, by the way. I think you should read a few and learn them and put into practice what it says. But you could. So somebody who's never read before, or who's not particularly good at reading, just with the small habit, the small consistent step of reading 10 pages a day, could read 12 books a year. That's a lot of books. So there you go. That's my thoughts on breaking things down into smaller steps. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't allow yourself to be put off and inertia set in. Just take tiny steps, move forward. And whatever you're struggling right now, when you can't move forward with, just think, what's the smallest step I can take? Take it today, do it again tomorrow, and eventually you'll get momentum and it will become easy. I'll speak to you again soon. Take care.